Hello again, folks. This is Barry with Barry's 8-Track and Classic Car Radio Repair. And this is part 2 of my video on the super cool test fixture that I've made for quick testing FMR modules that I use for conversions, and also to test its compatibility with all the different types of radio tuners and controls that are out there. Needless to say, it's better to run through some testing before committing to a final assembly, because final assembly in my case calls for cutting wires to their exact length and tying them off and making everything look neat and pretty. And when I have to tear it all apart to test something, it can be very frustrating, and needless to say, it takes time to do that. So this is my, I have not labeled it yet. I've just finished the wiring on it. It's not labeled, and it doesn't yet have a hold down device for the module, but and then here's the wiring for it. It's a pretty goodly amount of wiring there. And this is basically a fully self-contained converted radio with its own onboard tuner, its own onboard volume and tone controls, and then it's got a couple switches here. This switch selects between the onboard tuner and the tuner that I want to test out of a customer's radio. Same with this, except this selects between the onboard volume and tone controls or the volume and tone controls on a radio that I'm getting ready to convert. And then this connector will have alligator clips on the end of it, and will connect to the radio that I'm going to be converting. So that takes care of that little problem there. This is basically a ground connection for everything. This is the power switch, on-off switch with an indicator, and a setup switch, because a setup procedure needs to be performed to match the module with the radio's controls and tuner. And so I've made that very convenient. This is just an FM stereo indicator, which generally is not used on most radios, but it just kind of helps to be able to see when an FM stereo station is tuned in. This is just an antenna jack here. Uses the same type of connector as a car radio. And this is just the tuner itself. Since this is just for testing purposes, it doesn't need to be the big fancy deal with the pointer that goes across and all that, because this is just for my own test purposes. And for that, it works just fine, just sliding this the ferrite cores in and out of their coils. And so now we're going to see how much time this is going to save me when testing a suspect FMR module, like if I think I messed something up. And here is one of the modules that we use for conversions, and this poor module has been through absolute hell, because the whole time that I've been building this test fixture, I've had this module resting on its pins for when I go to drill holes around it. If I slip with the drill, I want it to crash against the board and not against the pins, because I've already done that to a few pins and I've had to replace them. So this poor board has been handled without static protection. It's had metal shavings flying onto it. It's had fiberglass shavings flying onto it. And if there's any board that needs to be tested before it's used, it's definitely going to be this poor little board here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to run through first the setup procedure to match the board with this tuner and these controls, and then I'm going to run the board through a complete test. And in its current configuration, as far as this is the setup that's used with most radios, requires about 21 connections between the board and the tuner, controls, power, speakers, and all that kind of stuff. So as you can imagine, soldering and unsoldering 21 wires is going to take a good hour, maybe even 2, depending on how careful I want to be and all that stuff. So now we're going to see just how fast I can now run the board through a setup procedure and give it a complete test using this new fixture. So let's go ahead and switch to a different camera angle here, if I can find it. Let's see here. Where's that other camera that I'm going to use? How about maybe this one? How about maybe this one? Okay, let's try this one more time. There we go. Okay, and I'll just kind of tilt this to where you can see what I'm doing here. And I'm going to put this board down, and I don't, as I mentioned, I don't yet have a hold down device for it, but I don't really even need one for just a quick test. I just need to hold the board down on these spring-loaded pins. So let's just go ahead and hook this thing up, and I'm going to, and as I mentioned before, it would normally take a good hour or probably even longer to test this using the conventional means of soldering wires to it and blah, blah, blah. So what I'm going to do now is Okay, I got the board hooked up. We're going to plug an antenna into the fixture, just like this. Okay, and now she should be all ready to go. I got the power off, so let's press this board down here real quick. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and turn the power on to the fixture, and then I'm going to run the board through the setup procedure. So here we go, and I'm also going to time it. So let's start the timer right now, and we're going to see how much time we can save running this board through a complete test. Okay, timer is currently running. Okay, turn it on, run through the setup procedure. Okay, you can see our little flash of blinking, so we're going to perform the setup procedure real quick. Okay, now we set it to the high end of the tuner's range. Okay, now we're just going to set it to American channels. Alrighty, and then one final test. Okay, and in a moment this thing should start working and pulling in a station. Alrighty. Gone is the romance. Okay, just gonna. So divine, 'tis broken and cannot be made. Okay, and we'll just rotate our tuner, and you can see that we're bringing in stations. Okay, now we're going to make sure that the virtual balance and tone and faders work. So here we go. Activate the virtual fader. Okay, there's our tones. And you can probably hear the difference in sound quality as we go between the front and rear speakers. There's rear, front, rear. Okay, and back to center. Okay, now we're going to activate the virtual left-right balance control. Oop. Okay, bad connection. We gotta do this again. There we go. Okay, I just let the connection go bad. Alrighty, virtual balance. Okay, there's our tones. And now you'll be able to hear the speakers going from left to right, left, right. Okay, so that's all working. Now we just need to make sure it'll go from AM to FM. Switch it to AM. And there's our AM. Okay, and there's our AM. Okay, so the test is complete, and that took 2 minutes and 18 seconds. Compared to more than an hour of soldering wires. We've run the unit through a complete test. It picks up FM fine, lights up the FM stereo light, the volume and tone controls work, the virtual balance and fader controls work. It switches from AM and FM just fine, and we have now run this board through a complete test in a matter of 2 minutes and 18 seconds. So that's should let you guys know just how much time I can save. And naturally, the more time I can save on stuff that is not really contributory to the final product, the more time I've got to put that much more quality into my workmanship. So, on that happy note, this is Barry with Barry's 8-Track and Classic Car Radio Repair. If you have an 8-track, either for home or for car use in need of service, you can reach me directly at 928-533-9666. Needless to say, if you have a classic car AM radio to which you would like to add FM, a heck of a lot more output power, virtual balance and fader controls, and even the additional possibilities of Bluetooth, USB reader, auxiliary input, and maybe even some more cool stuff that I've discovered, you can reach me for those reasons also. My website is in the description below. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time.
Having fun, driving my classic ride. Got a Mustang, buddy, it's a 69, but she ain't sounding so fine. Driving this car, I can't hear the guitar, and all my tapes run slow too. Radio smoking, 8-track that's broken. What can I do? Send it to 8-Track Repair Center. 8-Track Repair Center. 8-Track Repair Center.com.